chapter, I would like to show you how you can set up and run a test or two. So we see that we've come into the test stages, and the default here is logging only, which doesn't do any test control. It will just log all of the transducers that's set up in our current station. We have a number of test options here, of course, but I'm just going to choose logging. I'm not going to enter any default values. On the logging module, the purpose of default values is if, for example, we don't have a back pressure reading, maybe it's a manually set value, then I could put 50 in here and it would record 50 kPa in the output file. But because we've got a full system that can log all of the appropriate data, we don't need to enter anything here. I'm not going to put in any test termination condition. I'm just going to apply this stage. You'll see we've now got logging as test stage number 1, and I want to do a new stage after I've done the logging. So I'm going to choose standard triaxial. I'm going to leave it on consolidated drained so that we can do a demonstration where we control both the cell pressure and the back pressure. I'm going to target the cell pressure to 200 kPa. We can see the current value is 202. Back pressure is on 105. I'm actually going to, just for demonstrative purposes, click use initial value so that it should maintain 105, 106, whatever it is at the start of the test. Axial velocity 0.5 is obviously quite fast, but it should make the test a little bit interesting for the purposes of seeing some data being plotted, so we can actually see a test running. We may as well have something moving. I'm not going to choose automatic docking because I can see that my system is essentially pretty much touching, so we should get some load when we apply some displacement. But on the right of all test modules, we always have optional test termination conditions. So as an example, we could stop the test after 10 minutes, or we can stop the test after it reaches 1.5 kilonewtons. So whichever one happens first, 1.5 kilonewtons or 10 minutes, the test will essentially stop. But by stop, if I look further down, we've got the option to hold pressures at the end of the test. If I have that clicked, when the test stops, so the load frame will stop, everything becomes safe, the cell pressure and the back pressure controllers maintain their last set pressure. If I unclick this, pressure controllers go on to hold volume, so it's like a proper stop of the test, but that may allow pressures to drift, which you might not want. And then also, when it reaches 1.5 kilonewtons or 10 minutes, we can choose for it to wait for user interaction, which means the user decides whether to go on to the next stage, if there is a stage 3, for example, or it can go to the next stage automatically. So if I choose apply, we'll see we've got 2 test stages. We'll start with logging, and then it will go into consolidated drained when I choose, and we're ready to run a test. So we next click on our test view, and we're ready to click start test, which will be the next chapter. Thank you.